Good morning. I have to have coffee this morning. So good morning, everyone. It is Stacy. This is Loving My Veteran, and we are walking in my shoes this morning. I'm gonna have some coffee. Typically, on Fridays we do Fabulous Fridays, but won't quite be doing a Fabulous Friday this Friday. So I'm gonna give everybody a chance to kind of get on this morning and have a little sip of coffee, and I'm kind of on time. That's one of them rare occasions that I kind of do things on time. Good morning, Jen. Guys, her coffee with her already. So today's topic, we typically do Fabulous Fridays. Today, in light of the world events, I'm not quite thinking that Fabulous Friday is what needs to happen. Before we get too started, I just want to say a few things. Our thoughts and prayers are with all the servicemen and women who are in Afghanistan at this moment. They're also with the families of those servicemen and women who are in Afghanistan this morning, because some point today, 13 families are going to get a knock on the door, and they're going to be told, "We regret to inform you." So our thoughts and prayers are with them. They're with those people who are going to get that comment, "We regret to inform you." So it's very difficult for me to get here and talk about positive and how fabulous our time is, because it's not been a fabulous week. We may have had victories along the way, but it's not been a fabulous week. Good morning, Pamela, Sue, Jen. It's not been that week for us. And I'm going to tell you, I share our story, and I'm blatantly honest and very open about what we experience and what we go through. Good morning, Melissa. About what we go through. But let me just tell you, it's been a rough 4 days. It's been probably the roughest 4 days I've ever experienced in my relationship with Carl. Maybe even in my life. And I try to be so strong, and I try to be so positive, and I try to be so uplifting. And last night on Let's Talk, I think that God love us both, Carl and I both had major explosion, let out. Just everything had just surfaced to the top. And I try to be so strong and so tough, and I'm not strong and I'm not tough when it comes to some things. I was overwhelmed. I've been overwhelmed. I have personal things going on that I don't know what it's going to mean. Yesterday, and all of the things that went on yesterday, my very best friend is on an airplane flying from Colorado to Virginia. And all I kept thinking about was 9/11. And all I prayed was that she would get there okay. And then we had the 13. Started out as 3. Before long, it's 13 service members. It was tough. It was tough. I can remember when Woody was in the Navy, and we had 3 service members die off of his ship, and they flew him back. And to this day, it is almost impossible for me to hear taps, because I think about that. I think about the echo of taps and the salute in the airplane hangar. That was 30 years ago, but I still think about it. I think about how just certain things can forever change our lives, and how tough, and we're not as tough as we all think we are sometimes, and that's okay. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to explode. And to be honest, I didn't know where we were going yesterday. I didn't know where we would get to, if we'd even get to being together. Morning, Sarah Kim. If we'd even be together this morning. I didn't know that. I love him with everything in me, but I didn't know how to navigate this. I didn't know how to begin to deal with this. And I posted it this morning, but it went back, morning Meredith, it went back to a simple thing when I was making coffee this morning. Carl was sitting there this morning, or was sitting there when this first happened, and talked about a blacked out flag. A blacked out American flag. And he wanted one. Didn't quite know what it meant, but I ordered it. And it came, and the very next morning he gets out and he takes down our beautiful red, white, and blue flag that, I'm telling you, when we move, it is the very first thing that goes on any house we live in. And he took it down. Tears were rolling down his face. And he replaces it with the black flag. And I said, what is the meaning? And he said, no quarter. And I said, explain. And what he said is that when you're in combat, and when you're in a battle, when you're in war, you would rather die, an American, than surrender or be taken hostage. And that's what it meant. And so all of a sudden, everything that had gone on the past 4 days made sense. He was in his place. Like so many other veterans, I can't say every, like so many other veterans, he wants to go back. He wants to defend. He wants to do. And he's torn between that and me and the family and the fact that he's 49 years old. He's torn between that. And like so many of us, we worry about home and our veteran and all the other things that go on in our lives and the day-to-day things that still have to go through it. We all are going through this. And we take this in. So what he's facing, he can't explain to me. Because I'm not ready to hear it, because I'm facing my own battles. And we could not get it together. We did not have the ability to get it together. And that was tough. And so what comes out of it? A lot of hate. A lot of hateful words. A lot of anger. A lot of finding the dig, the vomit, the very bottom of the barrel, period. That's what comes out of our words. And it's tough. So I'm trying to decide. Sue just sent me a message and said I'm breaking up. So I don't know if I'm breaking up for everybody. But that was tough. To say things that came out of my mouth, which weren't really directed at him. They were just the hurt and the anger that I had. I didn't know any other way to let it out but directed at him. Then I remembered the words of my grandmother. She said, don't ever go to bed mad. And we didn't. We lay down and we went to bed. When I got up and made the coffee this morning, I saw that flag. And it dawned on me. I'm not surrendering my relationship with Carl. I love him. And I am going to fight with it, for it, with every inch of my being. Because that's what I do. I don't do it well all the time. Y'all, the only reason I can give you these stories, the only reason I can tell you these how to do it right is because I did it wrong way too many times. I can uplift people and say, oh, you're doing a good job. I'm proud of you. And you are, and I am. But the one person I need to share that with more than anybody, I don't. I don't. And the thing that we were so distant on was I needed space yesterday. I couldn't put one more thing in my brain yesterday. And he knew that we couldn't talk. And he wanted communication. You know, we're back to this whole thing. Oh, these veterans can't talk to us. Oh, these veterans have PTSD. Oh, these veterans have a TBI. He wanted to talk. The words didn't quite come out the way I wanted to hear them. But he wanted to talk, and I just wanted quiet. And all we did was butt heads. And I think about that. And the past 4 days have been the worst 4 days we've ever spent together. But I don't love him any less. I may have treated him like I loved him less. But I don't love him any less. I love him more. Because here's the truth. You don't have to be strong all the time. And you can be overwhelmed at times. And you cannot have the answer at times. And that's okay. We don't have to have the answer. We don't have to do it right every day. Because I don't. But I will always remember this. Our relationship will always have a no quarter, a no surrender. We're not giving up on that. Ever. And it's so easy to say, I'm going to walk away. And it is. And some people have to, and I understand that. And I get that. But you don't know every story. Just like I don't know every story of yours. I know there was a comment that was made about, do you tell them? Do you keep stuff from them? And it was like, you know, well, it was so irrelevant in my way it was taken that I took it. It was like, you know what? I can't tell you what to do looking at a 2-line post. You're welcome, baby. I can't tell you what to do from a 2-line post or a 2-paragraph post or a 10-paragraph post. I don't live in your shoes. I don't have your baggage. But what I can tell you is I'm not perfect. What I can tell you is I have never experienced the fear that I experience right now. And I'm not afraid of him. I'm afraid that he's going to go down a road and won't come back. I'm afraid, and I don't mean physically, I mean mentally, down a road that he won't come back from. And the problem is for us is we handle things so differently. I want to watch the news. I want a little bit of knowledge to be informed. He doesn't want to watch the news. I internalize everything and I deflect. I take on more and it keeps me busy and it gets my mind working or avoiding is a better word. It gets my mind avoiding. Carl wants to analyze everything. He wants to look at every failure, every attempt, every possible outcome, because he's got to protect me. And sometimes he looks so far down the road that we're not even anywhere near each other anymore. And I told him that one day. I said, you look so far into the future at every possible outcome that I'd like you present in the here and now. And maybe that's where the loneliness comes from that I felt the last 4 days. Carl and I can do anything when we do it together. We can accomplish anything when we do it together. But he's so many steps ahead and so far down the road and so many way down the thing. And I'm feeling in the here and now, and he's not there. Doesn't make him wrong. It makes him right in the way he does things. Me being in the here and now doesn't make me wrong. It makes me right in the way I do things. Y'all, I am the type person that's going to jump off the diving board and then realize there's no water in the pool. That's just who I am. Carl's not going to do that. He's going to make sure there's water in the pool and that it's deep enough before I ever jump in. And that it's the right temperature and that there's no sharks in the water to get me. That's what he's going to do. But that makes us different, but it makes us balanced. The problem is right now is we are so far at opposite end balancing us that we just can't bring ourselves back together. We can. We're going to. But we couldn't yesterday. We had to get to where we were yesterday to sit back and see where we are today and where we need to go the rest of the day and tomorrow and in the future. I had to take a step back. I had to understand my feelings and process them and get it together. This is not an easy journey. This world has us today in such a place that we don't even know where we're going. We don't know if we're going to wake up the next morning and still be Americans. We don't know that. We don't know what flag's going to be flying on top of the White House. That's how I feel. And that's how a lot of you feel because I've heard it. We don't know how to protect us. We don't know how to protect our families. We don't know how to protect any of it. We don't know what to do. And feeling helpless is the worst thing ever. How many of you know how to help your veterans through this? I don't. But I'm going to be here. That's my new plan. I'm not going to check out. I'm going to be here. Do I know how to help you through it? No. But we're going to do it. We're going to do it together. I had a meltdown yesterday of economic proportions, and I called Nakia and I was talking to her. Okay? It was a meltdown. And Nakia, God love her, the power went out in the living room. And all she said to me was, will you stay on the phone with me while I drive to Walmart and get a power cord? And I said, absolutely. There's nothing spectacular about that. Never, it's not spectacular. We were just there for each other. We may not have said the right words. We may not have had to have said anything. We didn't have to do that. We were there for each other. And unfortunately, I have not been there for Carl the past 4 days. I've been so wrapped up in me that I haven't been there for him. He hadn't been there for me. See, we have to learn to be there for each other. And that's what it's going to take. That's what it takes to get through this. We don't know tomorrow. We don't know 5 minutes down the road. And as bad as things seem, we didn't know that yesterday. We didn't know that 5 years ago. Nobody knows what tomorrow brings. Think of it from the good perspective. You want one fabulous thing. The guy who goes in and puts his $2 in and gets the lottery ticket and wins $128 million. He didn't know he was going to be $128 million richer. He played a game and fantasized about it. He didn't realize how much his life was going to change. We don't either. We don't know. What we have to know is our core. Yeah, the chickens are ridiculous in the background. So you have to know our core. Who are we at our core? I'm Stacy, and I'm not perfect. And I love that man in there more than anything in this world. I love him with the depths of everything in me. I love this country. I do. Am I happy right now? No. But I love it. I'm going to grieve for these families. Because God knows it could be any of us. If you've got family, period, it's out riding down the road, and I've done it. I've had to be the one that knocks on the door and says, I'm sorry to tell you, but your husband was just killed in a wreck. I went with the police officer to do that. Any of us could have that at any time. Our life can change just like that. But rather than worry about the changes that could come, I got to stop. And today, for me, I'm not surrendering. I'm not surrendering anything. I can't live my life in fear of what may or may not happen. I can't get consumed with where I think things need to go. Am I afraid? Yes. Am I scared? Yes. But the thing I do know is that I'm me, and I'm loved. I'm loved by God, and I'm loved by that man in there. Deeper than anything I've ever felt. And you know, the next thing I had to take a step back and realize was this. America is not the White House. It's not the flag. It is not the Capitol. That doesn't define us. We are Americans because of what we believe. You can get rid of the Capitol, you can get rid of the flag, you can get rid of the White House. Are they all representations? Yeah. Why do you think the targets of the world of the 9/11 were very specific? The World Trade Center, the city of our finance, they flew planes in and said, you know what? Boom. America's not great. We're going to get rid of the finance and we're going to show them. They threw planes into the Pentagon. Our sense of defense. The safest building, they say, on the planet. Great advice, Elisa. The third one was going to hit the Capitol. But you know, at the end of the day, they were just buildings. We lost some buildings. They were fixed. Well, World Trade Center has been rebuilt. But what we lost were Americans that day. What we lost was our sense of freedom that day. What we lost was our sense of security that day. Within a few moments, we became the strongest country ever because we stood together. We're not doing that today. We're not there today. That's where we have the problems. That's where we have the issues. So today, I am an American. I'm me. I'm a child of God, and I am Carl's wife. That's what I am. And those are the things that matter at the end of my day. The rest of it doesn't. The rest of it's irrelevant. I can remember telling Carl when we first got together, I love you so much I'd sleep in a tent with you. I didn't really mean that, by the way. But I said I'd sleep in a tent with you as long as I had you. I'd stay in a tent with you. I didn't really mean that quite well. I would if I had to. Melissa and Nick, well, they're off camping in the tent. Way better love. I didn't mean that I'd sleep in a tent with you. But what I meant was the trappings of this world, the things, the possessions, the stuff, they don't mean squat if you don't have him. Not to me. So no, I don't know how to get through this journey. I don't know how we're going to get to the next level. I don't know how we're going to get through the day. But I know this. I'm going to do it stronger and deeper than I've ever done it before, with more commitment than I've ever had before. I love that man. With everything in me. And I am more committed now than ever to make this work and not surrender our relationship. And I'm not surrendering being an American. And I'm not selling out anybody. I'm more committed now than I've ever been before to making it work between us, to listening to what matters, to stop hurting him. Because I am terrible at that. When I hurt, he's going to hurt. It's the way it works in me. It's an ugly trait, by the way. Ugly trait. But we're going to make time for each other. He's always saying, work is work, home is home. There's us. And I always say to him, well, okay, but we'll have our time in a few minutes. Let me handle this first. Or we'll do us in a few minutes. Let me do this first. And over the last 4 days, there's been no us. There's been Stacy staying busy doing her thing, da-da-da-da-da. Carl doing his thing in his head, da-da-da-da-da. He's tried to talk to me. I didn't want to hear it because I just didn't feel like dealing with it because my head was overwhelming and I couldn't take on anymore. He didn't want me to fix it. He wanted me to listen to it. That's all he wanted. Me to listen to it. But instead, I'm going to go in and you're this and you're that and you're this and you're that. And it is messed up. And I did it. And I'm not perfect and I'm not proud of it. I'm overwhelmed. And in just a few minutes, I'm checking out of this establishment for a while. Nikia is checking out of her establishment for a while. We've had this conversation already. There is nothing wrong in this world with doing us. There's nothing wrong with doing us. So what I'm asking all of you today, and what I'm praying for all of you today, reach out when you need somebody to lift you up. Don't surrender what you really have and who you really are. You wouldn't be here if you didn't love them. Come on. We're not on here to say, oh, well, I'm hanging out here just because. I'm sure there's better things you can do for a half an hour and listen to me talk. We're here because we love them. That's why we're here. That's why we're here. Sarah, Kim and I, we're going on a 6-hour trip today. God love you. We going riding somewhere. But we're going to check out from the rest of this nonsense for a little bit. We're going to get back to what's important. Me, him, and our little furry children. That's what's important. That's what's important. And that's what matters. So I have just a few things left to say. One, I'd like to take a moment. I need to take a moment. And I need to lift up this country, our servicemen and women, their families, our veterans, us, the rest of the Americans, the Afghanis who are not getting out. And even our leadership in prayer. Dear Lord, please be with all those that I've mentioned. Please be with our servicemen and women and their families. And for the families of those 13 that are somehow going to get a knock on the door, give them strength and give them peace. Lord, be with our veterans as they are experiencing one of the worst things they've ever experienced. Be with their families and their spouses. We're going through uncharted waters that we don't understand either. Be with us as Americans, Lord. Let us remember what our true value really is and who we are. God bless the leadership of this country, that they do the right thing, and that they make the decisions that are right, not popular. Lord, thank you for this group of inspiring people who lift me up every day. I ask this in your loving and precious name. Amen. And one other thing I have to say, because somebody couldn't say it yesterday after his speech. God bless America. I'm Stacy. We're loving my veteran, and this has been Walking in My Shoes. Y'all have a blessed day. I will see y'all on Monday.